Teams prepared for what should be a knockdown, drag-out battle. The starting five for Iowa, it'll be Molly Davis, Kate Martin, Caitlin Clark, Gabby Marshall, and Hannah Stuelke. For the UNI Panthers, it's Maya McDermott, Kaylin Morgan, Kaba Lauby, Grace Buffelli, and Emerson Green. First shot off the mark, and the Panthers in their home white uniforms sprinting across the half-court line.
I've coached a lot of games in this building, Eric. I've never seen anything like this. The electricity is intense.
Buffelli, pump fake. Good block by Stuelke. Shot clock does not reset. McDermott goes to work. And still no points in this game thus far.
I always like the opening few minutes of a basketball team. It's a little bit of a slow dance, and teams trying to figure out who's guarding who, what kind of defense are we playing. Then when the kids relax, it usually settles into what the game's going to look like.
Stuelke, we talked about her in the pregame show. She's averaging 17 points, 6.5 rebounds. She's 16 of 19 from the floor this year.
And what you just saw on that last possession is her biggest strength. Look at her run the floor right now. She's the first person down there. Molly Davis hit her last time for an easy two.
Morgan unable to make the shot, a whistle. And this is going against UNI, the first foul of the game.
And if that, honestly, that's close. If that's going to be called, I think we're going to be here 3.5 hours.
Didn't see much there that warranted a whistle. Clark, the inbounder, underneath her own hoop. Keep an eye on Gabby Marshall. She's 0 for 9 this year, has not scored in her 30 minutes of action. All 9 shots, 3-pointers. Clark misses. Panthers get the ball back. Morgan doesn't have numbers, and she can't finish.
You have Iowa City native Kaylin Morgan guarding Iowa City legend Caitlin Clark as we see Kate Martin get downhill in transition early. So many interesting matchups here as we see Clark navigate over to Morgan in the corner. Caitlin Clark is a good defender, but she has to preserve energy, so she doesn't always go a million miles an hour on defense every time.
Panthers are on the board as Grace Buffelli. She's the preseason conference player of the year. Nice move.
One Division I scholarship offer.
Wow. Buffelli, a little undersized against the Power 5 schools. They're dominant in the Missouri Valley Conference. Offensive rebound, second chance points, and she's on the board.
And one thing I noticed early is that UNI messed up the ball screen coverage on the left wing that time, and it's because of how loud it is in here. They simply could not get their signal communicated.
Emerson Green, a little bit of contact as she drives into the lane. We're going the other way. Clark with it. Trying to reach in and grab it there is Lauby. Hawks open 3. Offensive rebound again, and the putback, and a chance at the three-point play.
That's Hannah Stuelke is an elite offensive rebounder. She doesn't have a great back-to-the-basket game like Monica Sedano, who she replaced at the 5 spot for the Hawkeyes, but she can go get it off the glass. And
field goal percentage. Great look at a full arena. And Adam, the Hawkeyes are one of the best teams in the country in a couple of things, and they're showing that early.
Especially offensively. Last year, they led the country in scoring offense and assists per game and field goal percentage. Those are 3 really important offensive stats. The Hawkeyes led the country in all 3 last year.
Offensive rebound for UNI as they get another crack at it here. McDermott and Buffelli, first team All-Missouri Valley Conference preseason honorees. Here's the Iowa transfer going to work. And Shatia Wettering, whistle, stops the shot clock with 5 on it, and a foul. And that is the first personal charge against Hannah Stuelke.
Great take by Buffelli. That's what she is. She's a bull in a china shop a lot of times. And in the Valley, she has the size to go against it. In this game against a Power 5 opponent like Iowa, they're going to have another inch or 2, and that can affect you around the rim. How Buffelli handles that will be key. Good early start getting to the free throw line.
A 65% free throw shooter. Last year, 138 makes out of 213 attempts. She had almost half of the total attempts the Panthers took last year from the charity stripe.
And it's certainly a growth area for her this year to be a goal, because she needs to get 75% or so from the line, because she gets there so often.
She has all the points for UNI. A 2-possession lead for the Hawks.
You see Sharon Goodman come into the game, Northeast Iowa native from Cresco, Iowa. She's a different player than Hannah Stolke. She is a true 5, great back to the basket, doesn't jump as well as Stolke, doesn't run the floor as well. But Coach Jan Jensen, who coaches the post at Iowa, does a terrific job developing those players. You see a backdoor cut by Clark.
Her first points of the game. Clark needs now 14 more to become the career point leader in Iowa women's basketball history. She's averaging 36 points a game. Good finish with contact with the left hand.
And that is intentional by UNI. They are going to put Sharon Goodman in space as much as they can, even if it's against their 5, Grace Buffelli.
Hand in her face does not faze Clark.
One thing I want you to watch, when she goes left, she wants to shoot. It's step back, it's sidestep when she goes left. A lot of teams will try and force her to the right. She's a better passer going right and a better scorer to the rim, but she loves to shoot going left.
He's the coach, Adam DeJody. Panthers again shooting woes early on, 2 of 9 from the floor. That's not going to cut it if you want to beat the top 3 team in the country. And Gabby Marshall sinks her first 3-pointer of the year.
Gabby's getting a little bit more attention than last year and it struggled from the 3-point line. That's a good sign if you're a Hawkeye fan, getting her off on the 3-pointer early.
McDermott 0 for 2 from the floor in transition. And the Panthers clear out with the rebound. 17-5 our score. Opening quarter of play in front of a sold-out McLeod Center in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Another foul.
Again, you see Buffelli in space versus Goodman. That is very intentional today, trying to make her defend all the way to 22 feet out from the basket.
Speaking of 22, Taryn Wharton, the sophomore, checks in, as well as number 14, Riley Wright. The chess match between these coaches, not a real deep bench for either the Hawkeyes or the Panthers.
Even in the national runner-up season last year, the Hawkeyes don't play a ton of players as we see Addie O'Grady into the game. Another really tall player, 6'4".
Out of Aurora, Colorado, averages 9 points in 20 minutes of action. Panthers can't buy a bucket. Clark trying to get a little separation here from their in-state rival. Marshall wide open, but unable to hit that shot. And if the Hawkeyes have aspirations of making that deep run in the NCAA tournament, clearly Gabby Marshall, the 5th-year guard out of Cincinnati, Ohio, is going to be a big factor.
She has to be. She can really impact the game from shooting threes. You know, for UNI, this is not obviously an ideal start. However, you just need to stay connected. Stay within range. That basket helps.
Filling it up in the first quarter, Grace Buffelli showing the multitude of moves she has when she has the ball in her hands.
These are
double team comes. Wettering whistled for the foul as Addison O'Grady was in the paint. Let's take another look at it here.
Great pass by Clark, splits the double team. You know, she gets so many accolades as a scorer. Heck, she had 44 points on Thursday night, but I'm telling you, she is a better passer than she is a scorer, and that's scary.
First player in D1 history to have 1,000 points and 300 assists in a single season last year. Currently, she's on the bench, but she's #1 in the nation in scoring average and #1 in assist-to-turnover ratio. Has the ball in her hands a lot, but doesn't turn it over. Almost an offensive rebound, and they do track it down. That is the 3rd offensive rebound for the Hawkeyes here.
Well, if you like offensive basketball, this is your kind of game, because both these teams are so good on offense. As we see Molly Davis go to the ground, these two teams are tremendous on offense, and when you watch, I want you to watch their spacing. They've got the floor spaced. They understand matchups. Neither team takes a lot of bad shots. Fun to watch.
Coming to the scores table, transfer from Iowa State. Kylie Feuerbach, the 6-foot junior guard, averaging 17 minutes, 4 points and 2.5 rebounds. And the Panthers go to Rachel Haidala. She's a transfer as well, who stepped in the starting role the last 5 or 6 games of last year when the starter Cynthia Wolf went down with a season-ending injury.
Feuerbach last year was her first year with the Hawkeyes. Missed a lot of time with injury. She's a nice addition for them. Can really shoot the 3 as well. Both coaches trying to get players into this game early in the first quarter, get their feet underneath them. It's pretty electric in here. You want them to settle in so that they're been in the game if you need them at crunch time later this afternoon.
A 13-point deficit with still 4 minutes to go, opening quarter. UNI continues to struggle. They're not taking bad shots, but the shots just aren't falling. Clark is on the bench and stealing it away for the Panthers.
These are key minutes here with Caitlin Clark on the bench, obviously, but the Hawkeyes are just trying to keep their lead where it was at. They don't necessarily need to extend it or expect to extend the lead. Give her a minute here, or 2 minutes there. Now she's back in the game.
Lisa Bluter, legendary coach for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Year after year, the Hawkeyes, one of the best in the Big Ten, one of the best in the country. Tough pass, and it's stolen away. Clark has options, now slows it down here. Good defense by the true sophomore out of Omaha, Nebraska on Clark.
You know, I watched the Virginia Tech game that the Hawkeyes played on Thursday, and it was almost like Virginia Tech didn't even have Caitlin Clark on the scouting report. There was no special consideration to her at all. UNI held her to 1-3 last year, one of the 2 teams in the country to do that, so they know how to guard her. A matter of doing it is a different story.
Open 3, rims out. Well, the Panthers aren't walking the ball across the half-court line, are they? A 1-on-4. Little scoop shot layup is good. That's a gutsy play by Riley Wright.
Well, you have to stress Iowa on defense by getting in space against the favorable matchup. And Caitlin Clark knows she can't foul. They do not want her in foul trouble, as we see Riley Wright with another steal. So when you get Caitlin Clark in space, you got to go at her.
Called for the travel. She did the jump stop and tried to pivot. Wright, a redshirt sophomore out of Marion, Iowa. Here's a look at that steal.
Hard to tell her to slow down when she made just a terrific play on just the possession before, but UNI's hanging around here, staying connected as we near the end of the first quarter.
Wright gets her Panther paw in there and forces a turnover. UNI really wants to rush the tempo here. Points off turnovers.
Great play by Riley Wright getting there. She has added a spark here late in this first quarter off the bench for UNI.
Spark off the bench. That's always a good thing when you find yourself trailing double digits to one of the top teams in the country. Another missed shot as Green. Look who comes up with it. All right, under 2 to play. First quarter.
Last time they went Emerson Green in the post against Molly Davis. It was a great shot. 10-footer just didn't go in. And you saw Caitlin Clark with the turnover down there. Clark's a little bit rattled. She hasn't been able to get off. Now, the team's doing great. She just hasn't impacted the game like she normally does. I'm sure that will change.
Very poor shooting, though. UNI just 4 of 16 from the floor, 0 for 2 from deep. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes are 7 of 15 from the field, just 2 of 9 from behind the arc. Timed that perfect, swatted it away. O'Grady.
This is where Clark's great in transition. They got 2 on her.
Clark has 5 points as this first quarter's winding down. Well, the MVP off the bench.
That is terrific defense by Shatia Wettering. She guarded, watch this, as she stays in front of the ball, no hands, squares her up and then blocks it. That is a terrific play against Kate Martin, her former teammate of a year ago.
Played 3 seasons at Iowa before transferring. Made 15 appearances for the Hawkeyes.
You don't think she's guarded that exact move 100 times in practice?
Out of Montezuma, Iowa. Both these coaches really recruit the state of Iowa. Hadela draws the foul, and with $1:11 remaining first quarter, feels like the tide, the momentum's shifting just a little bit here.
Absolutely. O'Grady goes vertical that time, still got called for the foul, but such a fun environment because every time somebody scores, a lot of fans. Even though there's more UNI fans in Iowa, it gets loud in here so often. This is fun.
Heydala, 4 starts last year in 27 games. A 60% free throw shooter. Well, our broadcast is brought to you by Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle. Hy-Vee proudly supports the UNI Panthers. Hope you're enjoying this broadcast.
Heydala has been a nice addition to this roster. A year ago, Division II transfer from Bemidji State. She can shoot threes, she can post up.
Iowa has not scored in the last 3 minutes. It's going to be Panther basketball with 56 seconds to play.
And it looks like, boy, we don't want to give Molly Davis a wide open three, but you kind of have to pick your poison when you're UNI. That time, Caitlin Clark, ball screen left side of the floor. They soft trap it. You're going to leave somebody open. You'd rather be Molly Davis than Caitlin Clark.
Green has had some outstanding shots. She has the size advantage over Marshall. Another missed opportunity, though.
Needed to use the left hand that time. She went right hand. Would have been a much easier finish with her left, which she's totally capable of.
Panthers 1 out of their last 5 shots from the floor. The Hawkeyes haven't scored in now 4 minutes of game time. Shot clock turned off. What do you draw up here, Coach?
Best matchup possible. If you're looking at the defense, or they just pre-switched there. Now Iowa's going zone.
Still plenty of time. And a foul called with 10 seconds. And that is the 5th team foul.
Great awareness by Riley Wright. She felt the pressure. When you feel pressure like that, you drive it right into their hip. It's a foul. Any sustained contact is going to be a foul like that. Great play by Riley Wright. Get a chance for the base, actually a chance for free throws because that's in the bonus here. Women's basketball, 2 shots when you get to 5 fouls. Unlike the men's game, then it resets at the quarter, which I like because then you don't get stuck in the bonus for an hour and a half.
Free throw is good. And UNI pulls everyone off the lane. Crossed over the line. And the Hawks get the final shot here. All right, it's been 4 minutes and 4 seconds since the Hawkeyes have scored. Can they score in the final 10? Full court pressure will be applied as Clark will inbound underneath the Panther hoop.
Can they? Yes. Will they? Stay tuned.
Midcourt at 5. Open look. Into your end of first quarter score. The Iowa Hawkeyes 20, the UNI trailing by 9 after shooting just 22% from the floor. One of your keys was make threes. They're 0 for 2 in that category. Buffelli needs to be careful as she's so valuable to this team. And that is her second.
That's going to be an interesting decision, and there's no time for that decision as we see Heydala come back in the game for Buffelli. That is a huge factor in this game. You talk about the McLeod Center, Eric. This is obviously the first sellout in the history of the program. As we see Stolke get loose on the out-of-bounds play. But one thing to note, Iowa plays in front of these environments all the time. This is actually, thanks to Chris Kleinhahn-Schultz, the radio voice for the Panthers for this nugget, this is actually the smallest venue that Iowa will play in all year long. So as awesome as it is, as electric as it is, this is just Sunday for the Panthers, or for the Hawkeyes, excuse me.
Yeah, the previous games, 14,998 in attendance and 15,196. All right, the Hawks got the bucket and ended their near 5-minute scoring drought from the first quarter. Their defense results in a missed shot.
Crucial stretch of this game. It leads at 11. See the nickel dimer. Leads at 11. You got Buffelli on the bench. Cannot let this thing get out of hand in the next few minutes for UNI.
Well, a couple starters for UNI have not scored in this game. McDermott, the preseason first-team all-conference honoree, 0 for 2. Morgan's, the senior, is 0 for 2. Laube hasn't attempted a shot, and Green is 0 for 6 so far.
These two teams know each other really well. And the Hawkeyes know that Laube likes to shoot threes. They're not going to let her do that.
Working hard to get that offensive rebound. And the officials are talking about the call.
Shatia Wettering is just a nice athlete to you and I to have. I don't know what's the call here.
I believe Wettering is called for going over the back. That's her second. So two of your better post players are saddled with 2 fouls with an eternity on the clock before halftime.
There's just going to have to be some decisions made in terms of playing people with foul issues.
A physical game. Offensive charge. This one's against Stolke.
Check the replay here. Looks like Emerson Green is set. Her heels have to be outside of the restricted zone. It looks like they were. Great play.
So now Stolke heads to the bench. And coming in to replace her is Goodman. A lot of upperclassmen on this Iowa Hawkeye roster.
Looks like that's 2 fouls on Hannah Stolke.
Have to change your game and approach depending on how it's being called. Bring it up for Maya McDermott.
That was a key to the game. How they guard dribbles, handoffs, and ball screens that time. And they tried to go under the handoff. Great action by the Panthers. Maya McDermott never going to turn down that look.
She averaged 14.7 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game last year, shooting nearly 50% from the floor. Clark with the ball in her hands. That looks like a mismatch. And a foul called on the floor. They're just really using their whistles. Calling this game tight.
We're going to see a lot of different players today with this many fouls. Iowa run some really good out-of-bounds plays. Saw that time it was almost a force switch. That time UNI does it. There's no need to switch that action. As you see Clark with a little extra step.
That's her 3rd turnover. She's number 1 in the country in assisted turnover ratio. She has 3.
And an interesting note, UNI had a bunch of turnovers last year, 20 in the game. Now they don't have quite as many today. Iowa's the team that's turning it over.
Green again, you can see the frustration on her face as she's had so many shots just rim out. But she earns a trip to the free throw line after this play. Brother A.J. Green, 2-time Larry Bird Player of the Year for the UNI Panthers in the Missouri Valley Conference. Got some run time last night for the Milwaukee Bucks. Father is assistant coach for the Iowa State Cyclones, long time. And the Iowa State Cyclones, is that final, Adam?
Yeah, they won this afternoon. So I'm sure Kyle got done with the game. He's checking out his daughter's game against in-state rival Iowa.
Panthers just 4 of 7 from the free throw line here. Kind of a scoring lull the last 7 or 8 minutes of game time.
We've lost a little bit of our flow. Some of that's the calls, but they'll settle back in.
A lot of contact, and travel is called as Goodman was facing Hadela. Panthers have only 2 turnovers, and there are 6. Make it 7 now turnovers for Lisa Bluter's team. Making this a 7-point differential. The Panthers playing better than the Hawks here as of late. Laube into the paint. Can't finish. Offensive rebound. Clark tips it away. Then we're going the other way.
That was a great play by Caitlin Clark.
Hitting the bottom of the net. Gabby Marshall, 5th-year guard out of Cincy.
That's a bad sign for UNI. Gabby Marshall with 2 early threes.
Clark choosing to attack. And then a foul called against the Panthers, Taryn Wharton.
It's really great strategy by UNI how they defend Caitlin Clark in transition. And then there's a random double team, but it doesn't stay forever. They leave. He just got caught a little too physical after the double team left. They're doing a really good job on her. They're just getting called for some fouls.
Well, Clark needs just 16 points to surpass Megan Gustafson, who had 2,804 for Iowa's all-time scoring title. She's been held in check as far as Caitlin Clark is concerned.
And she obviously is going to break that record. She'll probably break it today, but coming from my coaching background, when kids have these milestones, these really major ones, sometimes it can affect them, even if they say it's not. But you know it's a big deal, and maybe you're thinking about it. I'm not saying that's the case with Caitlin Clark today, but a little slower start than normal for the first-team All-American and National Player of the Year.
She's only put up 4 shots. 2 of 4 from the floor, 1 of 3 from deep.
Great pass by Taryn Wharton.
Green step back long. Wharton offensive rebound, no hesitation, and another shot that just misses from the top of the key.
That was a great look.
Officials are going to talk and see who gets this basketball. And they say UNI ball with 6:24 to go before halftime. Checking in, Sydney Afalter, the junior guard out of Chicago, averaging 20 minutes and 10 rebounds per game.
Really interesting. Both teams playing without their starting 5 right now, so it's pretty much even in terms of that.
Hawks out rebounding the Panthers 22-16. Emerson Green keeps putting shots up, but Clark, a little bit of contact, another miss, but an offensive rebound. Remember, UNI's star player has been sitting on the bench for a long time as she got 2 quick fouls.
And Sharon Goodman is a newer player for Iowa. Didn't play a ton last year, has battled some injuries, but as we see Hadela for 3. But her size is something you just don't see in the Missouri Valley Conference.
The sharpshooter for the Panthers, long, as Laube had a good look at it, but UNI now just 1 of 6 from deep. Martin. And both teams shooting cold.
And that's the right basketball play for Caitlin Clark. She took it downhill. She tried to make a play. Kate Martin is a good player and wide open. You got to give her the ball.
Last time she took a 3. This time she drives and gets fouled on her way to the rim. It's a shooting foul, and it's 2 personals against Goodman. The fouls are racking up here for both these teams as Riley Wright will check in for Maya McDermott. A couple more subs. Feuerbach and O'Grady checking in for the Iowa Hawkeyes here. I mean, I hate to continue to bring it up, but UNI is shooting terrible.
They are.
16%, 5 of 30, and 1 of 6 from behind the arc.
And part of that is missing some shots. Emerson Green's had some really good looks. Part of it is the length from Iowa. When you're a mid-major program, even an elite mid-major program like Iowa, when you play these Power 5 teams, everybody's an inch or 2 longer. And that's just a difference. Doesn't mean you can't win the game, but it does impact your shooting because you're not used to that length, both on the perimeter and down low.
Last year, UNI averaged 75 points per game. Right now, they're at 16. Meanwhile, the Iowa Hawkeyes, 91 points last season. We're under 5 to play before half.
Great set by the Hawkeyes. That was some false motion on purpose to get a high post touch to get Clark the back door because UNI is somewhat face guarding Caitlin Clark when she doesn't have the ball. It's tough to defend those back cuts.
Called against Laube, who hit the deck, and that's her second. And that sends us to a commercial break. 30 to strategy-wise, and Grace Buffelli, your best player, has been on the bench almost this entire second quarter.
Yeah, tough to get in a rhythm there. I think overall they're really happy with how they're playing and defending Caitlin Clark. The bad news is they're doing a great job on Caitlin Clark, and they're still down 14 points. That's not a good sign if you are UNI. Just need to stay connected here heading to halftime.
Buffelli has just played 5 minutes, but she's 3 of 5 from the floor with those 2 fouls. Tough shot in the paint, gets it to go, and the run continues for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Deliberate post-ISO set coming out of the timeout.
It's a 10-2 run over the last 4:05. Floater and bank shot for the underclassmen out of Omaha.
Great take with the left hand by Taryn Wharton. Big basket by UNI.
Tanya Warren, it's kind of point guard U here at UNI as the list of so many point guards that have had tremendous careers. Clark sitting at 8 points right now with 3:40 to go before halftime. Drawing the foul and more free throws coming for Morgan.
Clearly an emphasis, because that's the second or third time they've identified Caitlin Clark playing defense in transition and gone right at her to make her make a decision if she really wants to waste a foul on this. That's only her first, but they can add up pretty quickly. Great heads-up play by Kaylin Morgan. We saw Riley Wright do the same thing earlier and get 2 points.
Free throw shooting woes continue for UNI, and that is very frustrating for that coaching staff.
Well, you're playing a great team, but you're playing number 3 ranked team in the country. If you're going to pull off an upset, and this would be an upset, very capable of winning the game, you got to make free throws.
Morgan's brother and sister were stars here for the men's and women's basketball program. Nice action again. The reverse layup can't connect.
Good back cut by Feuerbach off the low block entry. Just missed the reverse layup.
Nifty little move to get into the paint and finish with that left hand.
High motor play by Taryn Wharton, but she's also playing great defense on the ball.
Making the most of her 9 minutes of action. Open look for Marshall again, short. Skying for the rebound and free throws. Again, she averages 10 rebounds per game in just 20 minutes of action in the 2 previous games this year. Here's another look at it.
I'm watching the non-verbal body language by Caitlin Clark. She's not happy right now, and she's not impacting the game with her scoring, and she is yelling at her teammates. She's throwing her hands in the air, and they're up by 11 points. Very interesting development right now.
Free throw is good. One more coming as we're under 3 minutes to play here.
2 years ago in this very game, in the very court, Caitlin Clark received a technical foul for essentially taunting the UNI bench.
Never know what's going to happen with these in-state rivalries. I absolutely love that the Iowa and Iowa State coaching staffs do the home and home. Used to happen with the men's programs, then they went to a neutral site, and now they said, nope, we're good.
Well, it's really great. We talked about it off the air, but it really helps grow the game of women's basketball. And I think Bill Fenley, Lisa Bluter, all the staffs realize that this is important for women's basketball. There's a lot of kids here, a lot of girls wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys, a lot of girls wearing UNI gear and jerseys as well. This just helps grow the game, and those 4 Division I coaches in Iowa are very aware of that.
Basketball so good in the state of Iowa. UNI picked to win the Missouri Valley Conference. Drake right behind them. Iowa currently 3rd in the nation. Oh, and by the way, the Iowa State Cyclones are always in the contending for that Big 12 title.
Yeah, they've been to a few NCAA tournaments, Sweet 16s, Elite 8s themselves. So it is such a women's basketball tradition-rich state, especially when you're talking about a state of 3 million people.
Always keeping an eye on the triple-double watch for Clark. She has 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Also 3 turnovers, which is very uncharacteristic for her. Fouled in the act of shooting, and that's 3 free throws for Clark.
And that's a good call. You have to give her room to land, and this time Riley Wright does a good job, but then you can't come into that shooter zone. You have to call that every single time.
Clark 3 of 8 from the floor, 1 of 4 from deep, and she's 1 of 2 from the free throw line.
You saw that sidestep 3 going left. That's her favorite shot. She loves that going left. Doesn't really shoot it going right. Going right, it's mostly drive or pass.
She's also just 1 triple-double away as being just the 2nd Division I player to record a triple-double in 4 different seasons. It's not easy to get triple-doubles. It's that she almost averages it.
Exactly.
All right, 36-23. Time ticking down here. Opening half of play inside the McLeod Center on the UNI campus. Panthers beat the Hawkeyes 4 years ago by double digits.
I was at that game. It was never a game. Testament to Iowa player development. I was at that game, and Panthers win by 22. Monica Sedano, I think, was a freshman. Didn't impact the game, wasn't a very good player, quite frankly. Develops into a first-team all-conference player. So that was a fun game 4 years ago. And it's the 21st time in 22 years the Hawkeyes have played all 3 other Division I programs this day. I think the only one not was during the COVID year. One of them got canceled. Another nugget from friend Chris Kleinholm-Schultz. But just a really cool environment here today.
Clark with the basketball and a sizable lead, looking to add to it before intermission. Hope you're enjoying this Sunday matinee. Iowa's had a great week, collecting a couple wins already. Farley Dickinson on the 6th, Virginia Tech ranked 5th in the country on the 9th, and now here against UNI.
Well, and their schedule doesn't get, I mean, their schedule is, I commend Coach Bluter for taking on the gauntlet that she had. Travels out to the East Coast to play number 8, Virginia Tech. After this game, which is preseason Valley favorite UNI, they get Kansas State, they get Drake, they have Iowa State. They have a lot of good non-conference games for a team. Compare that to probably like the Iowa men's basketball non-conference schedule, or even Iowa State. Like, this is really cool for the game.
Clark at the free throw line. Last year, she was a tremendous free throw shooter. This year, 15 of 20.
And if you're UNI, you want to keep this thing at 10 or under. It's at 13 right now. Get it to 9 at 10, 9 or 10 at halftime. Take a break, make some adjustments. But you can't afford this thing to swell to 16 or 17 and expect to have a shot.
Clark with 13 points. A little slow to get up. Green might have rolled her ankle. We play on. Trying to get it to Hadela. And it's thrown away. To the other end. And a jump ball is called. It's coming in to tie up the Hawks was Riley Wright. Here's a look at it. Coming right at you.
Riley Wright just made some great plays today. She has come on and made an impact in a positive way. Look for her to have a few more second half minutes. She's done a terrific job.
Again, Grace Buffelli has been on the bench almost this entire second quarter. The Panthers' leading scorer, rebounder. She will be well rested for that second half. Open look. But also the Iowa Hawkeyes have had a couple players with 2 fouls that have been getting a lot of bench time as well. Under a minute to go, the feed and the finish.
Just an absolutely terrific play by Caitlin Clark. She's part Magic Johnson, part Steph Curry, part her own. That was a great look.
That's what makes her so special. Laube, no. Offensive rebound, guess who? Finish. And an empty possession as the shot clock and game clock are nearly identical.
And what's happened, exactly what I said couldn't happen. The lead swells to 15 with the ball to end the half.
Hawks can hold for that last shot as Morgan out there on Caitlin. Again, she's now 3 points away from becoming the all-time scoring leader at the University of Iowa. 3, 2, 1. And they don't even get a shot off. Good defense. Your halftime score, the Iowa Hawkeyes 3rd and 10 of 16 from the free throw line. That's 62%. The Panthers have dug themselves a hole, but it's their home court. They beat the Hawks just a couple of years ago on this very court in this building. Caitlin Clark going to work. Beautiful feed and finish. That's a nice looking play, the connection to Stolke.
Clearly a emphasis coming out, getting the ball, getting Stolke involved in that same post ISO set in the first half.
Buffelli can make those 3-point shots to the Hawks. Extend the defense right at that perimeter. Ball is kicked. 10 seconds were on the shot clock as Martin trying to get her hands, feet in the passing lanes there.
You know, because Iowa's such a great offensive team, I don't think people talk about their defense quite as much probably including me, they've done a terrific job. UNI is an elite offensive team. To hold them to 25 points and a half, commendable job. Really good urgency, scouting report defense for the Hawkeyes.
Panthers averaged 75 points a game last year. The officials have been a factor in this game as they've been calling it extremely tight. And that is going to be the third personal foul charged against Kaylin Morgan.
It was a good call. It was an illegal screen. You can't stick your hip out like that.
McDermott heads to the bench.
Little shaken up. That's why Taryn Wharton came in. They're leaving Morgan in with 3 fouls.
Travel violation charged against the Hawks. That's their 9th turnover. Let's take another look at it. As Buffelli, a strong post defender here. 28 rebounds by the Hawks, just 22 for UNI. Buffelli had an open lane as she fell to the court.
They call a charge?
Yes.
Yes, that's Buffelli's 3rd.
So she sat almost the entire second quarter. I don't think she can sit this whole third quarter, Adam.
She's coming out, but I look for her to come back in, and within a minute or two, you just have no choice almost when you're down 17 against a top 5 team in the country.
Also, if we can get a camera on the bench, Maya McDermott is potentially shaken up a little bit. The athletic trainer is looking at her. If you don't have Buffelli or McDermott, 2 first-team All-Missouri Valley Conference players, this is going to be nearly impossible to climb back into this thing. Clark draws the foul, and more free throws coming for Caitlin Clark. And that is 3 fouls now on Hadela.
Good patience that time. They're face guarding Caitlin Clark. She waited for the right moment and then initiated the back cut, drew the contact from Hadela.
Clark has 14. As she sinks this second one, she's tied for the University of Iowa women's basketball career scoring. And she does.
She breaks it.
Tied. 15.
15, got it. I bet she breaks it.
Fans on their feet trying to help the Panthers. Hadela leaves it short. Fans wanted to travel. In transition, 3 is good. Gabby Marshall knocks in another tray, and the lead continues to grow. Marshall now with 11. And 1. Wharton, that quick first step, gets into the lane and finishes with a bit of contact.
Great little hesitation and go by Taryn Wharton. Needed that basket desperately. UNI has lost separation here with the Hawkeyes. The lead has swelled to 20. As we see Buffelli come back in, just like we talked about. Just a quick minute. Reminder, she has 3 fouls. You have no choice at this point but to roll on with the foul trouble.
And again, I do not see Maya McDermott. I think she might have gone into the locker room to be looked at by the athletic trainer.
And I didn't see what quite happened. First, I thought maybe she just got the wind knocked out of her or something. It appears to be something different.
Buffelli back in. Under 8 to play, third quarter. Clark. Very patient with this offensive set. There's the jumper. And the rebound to Buffelli, and the Panthers push it across the half-court line.
Great defense that time by UNI.
Big shot. That has to feel good for Green, who had a tough shooting performance in the first half. But the answer, and she's feeling it. 0 for 9 in her first 2 games from deep.
Well, you knew that wasn't going to keep happening. She's too good of a shooter, and she has picked the right game to get back on track.
2 strong offensive rebound, and 3 fouls now charged against Hannah Stolke.
I think if I'm Stolke, I just let her lay it back in. You've got a 19-point lead. She just reaches out and gives a foul, and then Buffelli's got a great chance for 2 free throws anyways, and you got to probably sit down. Sometimes it's better just to let them lay it in.
Panthers have 10 points when they're pushing that tempo off a missed shot going the other way. Buffelli playing with those 3 fouls, and shooting woes continue. 23% from the floor, 20% from deep, and right at 60% as a team from the charity stripe.
Well, it's a tall enough task to beat the number 3 team in the country, but when you're missing free throws, makes it even harder.
Buffelli last year led the team in scoring, rebounds, and field goal percentage. Into the paint. Good spin and finish. That's Sharon Goodman, the 6'3" junior center out of Lime Springs, Iowa, Crestwood High School, who averages nearly 12 points and 3.5 rebounds in 19 minutes of action. A whistle away from, and it's UNI's head coach. Download the hoops in the Heartland. You've been there a number of times. The Valley's good.
The Valley is good. That's a fun event. I go there now that I'm not even coaching, just for fun, to watch all the great teams.
Getting a quick score out of the timeout. Yeah, the Panthers had a big non-conference victory. Belmont out of the MVC has defeated an SEC opponent in 3 of the last 4 seasons. They had a dominant 76-50 victory over Georgia on Friday. Belmont, Drake, Missouri State, Southern Illinois, a lot of tough programs battling through that non-conference.
Absolutely. Drake current 7-point lead over Iowa State in the Knapp Center, middle of the 3rd quarter. We see UNI. Good little offensive set to get Grace Buffelli downhill.
Clark has it. She gets it tipped away. No call on the foul, and it'll be Iowa basketball underneath their own hoop.
Clark looking for her 9th foul drawn on the game. That's an interesting stat that's new in the box score the last couple years. Last year against the Panthers, she drew 9 fouls, already 8 through the middle of the 2nd quarter. She thought that was supposed to be the 9th. It wasn't.
Clark, double team comes, spins away.
There's the 9th.
And now Caitlin Clark is the new all-time scorer in the University of Iowa women's basketball program, surpassing Megan Gustafson, as Caitlin has over 2,800. And last year, she had over 1,000 points in the season.
Well, Iowa is a very, very tradition-rich women's basketball program. They have actually 5 of the last 6 Big Ten Conference Players of the Year.
Incredible.
It wasn't long ago that Megan Gustafson was on this team, and she was the best post player I'd ever seen. But she was so terrific, and now a few years later, they've got the Naismith Player of the Year.
You know you're good when they retire your uniform right away.
That's correct.
Put it up in the rafters. 5:20, 3rd quarter. Eric Braley, Adam DeJody on the call here for the Panther Sports Network. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday afternoon. We know a lot of people are tuning in as this thing sold out in less than an hour. Going to work, and I think she's my MVP for the Panthers in this game.
Riley Wright's played terrific. It's going to be a fun season to watch her add to the...
Yeah, she's not shying away from these bright lights. Great catch and release. Clark got her feet under her, lets it fly. She's working on that triple-double. And she is 18, along with 8 rebounds and 8 assists.
And that's really a great short corner shot by Grace Buffelli, but that last look for Clark is really the first time that she's had a really clean look. That's as open as she's going to get. People don't leave her completely wide open.
Beautiful feet. She's more open there.
Yeah, receiving a screen away, she just tight curled it, throw the ball in the block. That's a tough defend, and drop it off for the easy 2.
Hawkeyes putting on a clinic right now. And the Panthers are without Maya McDermott. And Gabby Marshall continues to have an outstanding performance. The 5th-year guard out of Cincinnati, Ohio, is feeling it today.
She's played terrific, and the way that she impacts the game is to make threes. And when you're a three-point shooter, you got to make threes, and she's done that today.
Offensive rebound foul and a chance to go to the free throw line. The foul came from Sharon Goodman. We'll have free throws after this commercial break. It's been all Iowa. Not a lot of weaknesses in this Iowa team, Coach.
Not at all. Depth could be one as they get into the deeper part of the Big Ten season, into the NCAA tournament. But they have a great roster led by a great player who makes everyone around her better. She's not just a scorer. She has the ability to get other people open shots. And if they make those, they're just a very, very difficult team to guard.
So here's Grace Buffelli leading the way with 9 points. And misses that one. And frustration you can see on her face. Again, this one of the main storylines is Maya McDermott, who averaged 17 points a game last year, has 3, and she's only played 10 minutes. And I'm not sure if she's coming back into this game here. That's why you're seeing a lot of run out of number 22, the backup point guard, Taryn Wharton.
Good take by Wharton, going 100 miles an hour downhill. Yeah, McDermott, first player on the bench next to assistant coach Kate Linone, just hasn't come back in. Not sure the extent of the injury, but that's obviously something crucial to keep an eye on as you and I look to navigate this very difficult non-conference schedule, trying to get enough resume points to build a non-conference resume that will be worthy of an at-large bid come March. Certainly have the talent, need to stack up some good non-conference wins. They already have one great one in their hip pocket over Horizon League favorite Green Bay.
Caitlin Clark, currently 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. Real close to that triple-double. Stoppage and play here. As you see the replay, fouled in the act.
Talked about a little about UNI's schedule, but after this, they're going to go to Ball State, pick second in the MAC. After that, they head to Las Vegas to play in a tournament at the South Point, and they play Syracuse and Vanderbilt, both Power 5 teams. Come home, go at South Dakota, very good women's basketball program. At Creighton, they're top 15 in the country. South Dakota State, one of the best mid-major programs in the country. And then ho-hum at Hilton Coliseum at Missouri State. Just an absolute gauntlet.
So a loss here against the Hawkeyes doesn't really hurt the Panthers.
It doesn't hurt them. You like to perform better. Obviously, this game has gotten away from them, but it's not going to make their their season in terms of being the only chance to achieve a great non-conference win and build that resume.
Panthers 11 of 20 from the free throw line. Open look. Feuerbach drains it out of Sycamore, Illinois. Transfer from Iowa State. Averaging 4 points per game heading into this one.
Panthers went zone that time. Textbook great zone offense by the Hawkeyes. Inside of the high post, kicked out to Feuerbach for 3. Caitlin Clark got banged up a little bit on her finger.
She's asking for a sub. Now, I've played basketball a lot. A jammed finger happens quite frequently.
It really hurts.
But it hurts. I don't know if Iowa will need Clark to come back into this game, as the Panthers have just dug themselves such a deep hole. Clark being tended to by the athletic training staff. 2.5 to play, third quarter. Strong off the backboard. And Wharton, the true sophomore, continuing to push. Great move by the Montezuma native. But another empty possession. Two-minute warning here in the third quarter. More rebounds for the Hawkeyes, better shooting for Iowa, and great distribution of scoring points. 5 on the shot clock. Lost it momentarily. 3, 2, needs to let it go. And it's blocked, and we have a shot clock violation as the Panthers turned it up a couple notches on that defensive half-court set.
Interesting, that's the first time in this entire game we've mentioned the shot clock. Hasn't been a ton of...
Hasn't been under 15.
Yeah.
Maybe a handful of times. Buffelli had a good first quarter. Picked up a couple fouls. Sat the majority of the second quarter. Playing with 3 fouls now.
And you see Buffelli against O'Grady in space. You could tell early in this game that was a huge, huge emphasis for the Northern Iowa offense, and then Buffelli got her second foul. We didn't get to see her in space against Iowa's bigs as much as the Panthers probably wanted. Come back in the second half, she's playing with 3 fouls, and they go right back at it.
Unique strategy to pull the Panthers off the free throw line, especially with how poorly UNI has shot from the free throw. So Buffelli's the only one there. If the shot doesn't go in, but they both do.
Panthers going to go to their extended 2-3 defense, try to force a little pace.
$1:20 to play, third quarter. Panthers thought they had a steal, and now free throws coming for the Hawks. Hannah Stolke, she's still an underclassman as well. Stolke has 9 points. She's only played 9 minutes in this game. Well, Missouri Valley Conference student athletes are positively impacting the communities where they live by sharing views and fostering a climate for change for future Valley pioneers. To learn more about mobilizing voices for change, visit mvc-sports.com/OneValley. Got to the rim, couldn't finish. Clark back in.
A little too deep that time.
Under a minute to play, third quarter. Open look, and she knocks it in. The confidence to let that one fly. Stolke on the season, that's her second made three-pointer. She is 1 of 2 heading into this game.
And that shot isn't a huge deal in this game, but her making those threes takes Iowa from a great team to a potential Final Four team. Her ability to step out and make those threes. So not a huge deal today, but come March, that is going to be imperative.
She's an 83% shooter from the floor, high percentage. Took a dribble to get a little closer. Hadela falls down, and it's a blocking foul with 24 seconds to play.
And the Hawks don't need Stolke to make that 10-footer right there. They don't need that, but they need her to make threes, to pull the other team's 5. When they play some of these national teams that have 6'7", 6'6" centers, pull them away from the basket is going to be a huge key for Iowa. As we see Caitlin Clark get a little rest here, end of the third.
She needs one more rebound to get that triple-double. Well, I know there's a lot of youngsters here watching this game, idolizing these Panthers and Hawkeyes. But work on your free throw shooting.
That's right.
It's pretty important.
I coach 5th grade girls basketball now. I think the whole team's here. Here in Cedar Falls, it's something we talk all the time about, making free throws. 5th graders not so good at it.
One of the things you can work on and control. Well, Bree Robinson comes in for her first action today, as Maya McDermott continues to sit on the bench with an injury. Foul as the shot clock is turned off. Goes against a Falter. Emerson Green banged up. Maya McDermott injured. Riley Goebel, who was on the MVC All-Freshman team last year, not able to play in this game. That's 3 starters or top 7 players that are not playing in the second half.
And unfortunately for the Panthers, this lead swelling to over 30 points, probably not going to be a lot of minutes for some of those key players. It's a long season. This thing's 4 months long. Going to need to preserve some of that stuff, probably in the Hawkeyes in the fourth quarter as well. We're going to see some players that maybe don't normally log as many minutes, and that's just how it happens. That's how sports work.
Hawks can hold for the final shot here. Looking to add to their large lead. Beautiful feed. Took an assist away from Caitlin.
She did. It's a great point, Eric.
She gets the points anyway.
In scoring last year with a lot of good players back. Started with that opening set when they went right into the post to Stolke and never really stopped.
Points in the paint, 32-16. Second chance points, 15-1. Fast breaks, 19-1. In one area, UNI leads on the stat sheet is bench points, 22-11 there. That's because A couple starters have been injured. There's a look at Lisa Bluter, UNI alum, 1983. 39th year as the head coach, 24th year at the University of Iowa. Does it the right way, and there is a look at the 1982-83 UNI women's basketball team. Can you find her? There she is. Upper corner. Got the degree. Laid the foundation.
Probably no NIL deals
Not back then.
No.
Not back then. Clark on the court. Many would love to see her get that 10th rebound to get that triple-double. Marshall a rare miss today. And then a foul on the ground. And that's Buffelli, I believe. And that is her 4th.
Story of the game. Just an inability to. It was on Bree Robinson. Good.
So Bree Robinson gets called for the foul.
Really good. In a bad situation of being a blowout, good to get Bree Robinson some minutes. Coaching staff really thinks a lot of her. The freshman out of Lincoln, Nebraska, is going to be a nice player for the program going forward, and not obviously the score. You want her meaningful minutes to come in, but against this kind of a team and this kind of environment, certainly good to get her some experience.
Another foul that warrants free throws here, and another missed free throw. The Panthers are 16 of 28 from the free throw line. Iowa is 16 of 23. Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes, again, selling out their season tickets. They also broke the women's basketball all-time attendance record for a single game, 55,646 on hand for the crossover Kinnick exhibition. An awesome opportunity to showcase this team, these women, and the sport of college hoops.
Carver Hawkeye Arena holds about 15,500. And McLeod Center today, almost 7,000 people here for a women's basketball game.
They're standing all around. It is standing room only. Could have sold even more tickets, but continue to pack people in here. Under 9 to play as Clark will inbound. There you see the shot. A very intimate setting for this in-state battle.
Great defense by Buffelli. Goes vertical, stands her ground. Fortunately can't secure the defensive rebound, but really good post defense by the veteran Buffelli.
Kate Martin on the weak side gets it, the grad student, averaging 9 points per game. Another whistle. There's been times the crowd has definitely had a huge impact for both teams, as obviously a lot of Caitlin Clark and Iowa Hawkeye supporters in attendance today.
It was amped up early and had a few of those shots gone in. Emerson Green had a few good looks, things like that early. This place was ready to explode. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. And that's sports, and you got to live with it. And 30 other opportunities on the schedule to make an impact. But this crowd was ready to go today. I was really impressed with the number of UNI fans that showed up this afternoon. I thought maybe there might be even more Iowa fans here. Iowa has a nice crowd as well, but there's a ton of purple in here, and it's really good to see them supporting this women's basketball team.
Kind of fun to have tailgating before a women's basketball game. Yes. In mid-November, 62 in Cedar Falls.
My daughter was out there tailgating. I did go out there pregame. I drank water, but boy, it was a cool scene out there in the parking lots.
A lot of general admission tickets sold, so a couple of hours before, a ton of people were out there as it's first come, first serve, where you get to pick your seats. And again, hats off to Lisa Bluter and Coach Fenley with Iowa State of playing the home and home series. You don't have to do that. Caitlin Clark doesn't have to go to Cedar Falls and the Knapp Center. But that's the appreciation for these mid-major programs, and Bluter really got her opportunity after leading the Drake Bulldogs to championships.
Yeah, playing at UNI, coaching at Drake, she understands that these mid-major programs can play basketball, and she understands that her team will be there. Iowa's better at 4 o'clock today than they were at noon today for having played in this environment, playing as a good Valley team, and they played tremendous. They have a 30-point lead and have played pretty well.
Clark pulls it back out with 10 on the shot clock. Clark with 23 points. Now the all-time leading scorer in Iowa history. Bad decision there by Molly Davis as she's falling out of bounds. The Panthers quickly to the other end. As the Iowa transfer almost came down with the offensive rebound with Wettering. UNI 15% from the behind the arc, 24% from the floor.
A little feisty down low. Sharon Goodman, who's about twice the size of Kay Balabi, but a couple Iowa prep kids who played their high school ball in Iowa, battling out underneath the basket.
Alternating possession arrow, points in favor of UNI. Again, if you're just tuning in, what in the world happened? Some poor shooting by the Panthers and a strong second quarter got the Hawkeyes the separation they needed, and then a huge third quarter put this thing to bed.
It was really that end of the second quarter where the lead was 8 or 9 and it swelled to 15 right before the half in that last minute and a half. And the Hawks have made some threes in the third quarter.
Open look, long. And Caitlin Clark now with a triple-double, if you're keeping track at home. 23 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 2 of 5 from deep, 9 of 10 at the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, a steal, 1 foul, 3 turnovers in 31 minutes. Clark just impacts the game in so many ways, and now is one of only 2 players in D1 history to record a triple-double in 4 different seasons.
And she really hasn't forced much. She's done a good job taking what's given to her. UNI has done a very good job defending her. They know the scouting report, and the other Hawkeyes have stepped up to help them build this lead.
Under 7 to play here. Clark had an amazing offseason as that shot by Goodman is off the mark, where she won pretty much any award that was created.
She won them all. She won all of the awards.
If you can think of an award, Caitlin Clark was at the ceremony, getting the plaque, the trophy. Good offensive rebound. Naismith Wade Trophy winner, along with the AP winner. Don Staley Award, first team AP All-American, COSIDA All-American, a total of 19 postseason honors from last year.
And what she's really done is not only, obviously, she amplified in the women's basketball world, but she's made women's basketball a national sport in the national media. They're showing highlights on SportsCenter. She's doing commercials for different companies. She's talking to Stephen A. Smith, and she's really taken women's basketball and made it a prime sport in the country, and that's really good for the game.
A rare miss from the free throw line as Caitlin Clark is probably done. And the Iowa fans rise to their feet. Another day at the office, another triple-double for Caitlin Clark. Now her average is going to go down. She averaged 36 points through the first 2 games.
And I think she would even tell you that's not sustainable. With the defenses they're going to see and the amount of good players they have on their team, that's just not quite sustainable, and that's why it's called an average. But she's certainly going to score her fair share of points.
Taylor McCabe, the sophomore guard out of Fremont, Nebraska. That's her first make of the year. She was 0 for 5 before that shot. Wettering, good presence in the paint.
A little high-low look from Heydela to Wettering against the zone, flashing that girl in from the short corner after the high post touch.
Well, this is the 29th meeting between these 2 programs. Iowa leads at 25-3. Cedar Falls won in 2019, 88-66. 2019, not that long ago. And the Panthers have beaten the Cyclones, Kansas State, a lot of Power 5 wins. They won, making the NIT or NCAA almost every single year for the last decade.
Postseason played 12 out of 13 years for the Panthers.
Wow.
And they'll be in the postseason this year.
They will. Green light for McCabe. Again, coming in off the bench. Clark. I want to go back to Clark, though. Just the fact that she always rises to the occasion. To have that spotlight on you, to have that pressure on you.
It's intense. That's a great point. She never can have an off day.
Nope.
Not only on the basketball floor, but in public. I mean, the eyes are on her. The kids asking for autographs, the pictures. Going out in public can be an exhausting experience. She's a celebrity.
She is. And, of course, is this the final year of college hoops for Caitlin, or does she just continue to add more and more points and accomplishments?
Well, and that's where women's basketball is significantly different than men's basketball. In men's basketball, she would be in the NBA because of how well they pay. The WNBA does not pay that well. She could probably make more money in college, so it wouldn't surprise me for her to come back for another season. And that's where men's basketball doesn't have to play against All-Americans who are in their fourth year because they play for the Pistons.
Yeah.
Right?
We have a timeout. Sting. The LSU lost earlier this week. UConn about to lose. I think you're looking at the #1 ranked team in the country.
It's very possible the Hawkeyes could be
a 3-0 week with a top 10 victory on their resume.
And a 40-point win over a good team on the road, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a recipe for being the #1 team in the country. The great thing about college basketball is it's great for PR and recruiting and things like that, but it really comes down to the tournament at the end of the year, which is a great thing about college basketball. It's not the old BCS in football where it's a fashion show, but really a cool deal if it happens for the Hawkeyes.
3.5 to play here. First sold-out crowd, part of that Caitlin Clark effect of fans just want to be in the building to see her do her thing and go to work. And you and I did a deal where to guarantee a seat for this game, season tickets, and they broke a record number of season tickets, and then they opened it up for individual game tickets, and it sold out in less than an hour. People wanted to see this in-state matchup, and they wanted to see Caitlin Clark in an intimate setting because she's going to be playing in front of 15,000, 20,000 fans almost every night. How about in front of 7,000?
Yeah, and I think you'll see a lot of these fans for UNI come back. They have a very good team this year, picked to win the Valley. Obviously, they're going to win a lot of games, and hopefully the attendance is as good as they've ever had based on those number of season tickets because they got a great team on the floor this year.
Again, the Panthers without 3 of their starting players with a couple of injuries, and outstanding offensive and defensive performance by the Hawkeyes in this game, sitting at 88 points. She's a nice player.
Molly Davis with the floater, Central Michigan transfer out of the MAC. First year was last year. Gave them some much needed added guard depth.
Offensive rebound and finish for Riley Wright, who appeared in 24 games with 2 starts last year.
I'm excited to see what Riley Wright can do for the Panthers this year. She's going to add some dynamic playmaking ability for them on the floor.
Checking out for the final time, Feuerbach. So the road ahead for the Hawkeyes and the Panthers does not look easy. No guaranteed W's on either of these teams' upcoming schedules before conference play hits right around the turn of the calendar to 2024.
Panthers aren't back in the McLeod Center until December 9th.
It's a long ways from now.
Against South Dakota State, has lost a couple players to preseason injury, but is always a great mid-major team. So it'll be a test on the Panthers to go on the road, neutral site against 2 Power 5 teams at South Dakota, at Creighton. we're going to have a lot more data about the Panthers when they come back at the McLeod Center in a few weeks.
Under 2 to play, fourth and final quarter. It's been all Hawkeyes as some of the bench players getting some run. The Hawkeyes in this game, 51% shooting from the floor and 40% from deep. 11 of 27. Gabby Marshall, 5 of 10 to lead the way in that category.
Little grab there, so it'll send Riley Wright to the free throw line.
20 more rebounds for the Hawks in this game. And Wright looking to add to her total. She's leading UNI in scoring coming off the bench here. And she really didn't force anything. She was 4 of 8 shooting with 7 rebounds and a dozen points. And it's Riley Wright again. Just said, nope, that's my basketball. Rips it away. Got downhill and just missed a layup. Crowd loves to see that hustle, though. Gyamfi into the lineup.
Hawkeyes will home games Kansas State and Drake, and then they have a holiday neutral site tournament in Florida Gulf Coast with Purdue Fort Wayne and either Delaware or Florida Gulf Coast. Florida Gulf Coast has a great women's basketball program. Interesting to see if that matchup comes to fruition.
A foul on the entry pass is O'Grady. Yeah, it's always interesting to see how coaches want to assemble their team with recruiting high school, going into the transfer portal, but also how you put a schedule together.
Yeah. And the schedule is so important because you want to see a variety of things in terms of how people are going to guard you. Is a team going to play junk defense? Is a team going to go pressure full court man? You want to have all those things in your toolbox because you don't ever want to see something for the first time in a winner-take-all game in March.
Yep.
Right? And so you want to see everything throughout the year. That way you've seen it. Nothing's a surprise come March, and you're prepared for it.
Hadela fouls out. 2 points, both coming from the free throw line, along with 3 rebounds. The Hawks getting close to triple digits here. Now at 91 points. Through the first 2 games, Iowa was averaging 91 points to their opponent's 61. They defeated FDU 102-46, and then Virginia Tech by 4, 80-76. And I'm just going to say it. They are, I don't know where they're finished, but they're definitely top 1, 2, 3 in college women's hoops, especially with that experience. It's hard to put a value of what last year's experience in the tournament will do for the returners this year.
Well, they have great experience. They've got great weapons, but they also have Caitlin Clark, who's going to keep them with her ability, and we didn't see it necessarily this afternoon. She makes unguardable shots, and when you have somebody who can make unguardable shots like Steph Curry, things like that, any night she could go for 50, and you could beat anybody in the country.
That's what makes it fun. That's why it's appointment must-see TV. 94-53, that'll be the final score here. The Iowa Hawkeyes showed why they are just an incredible talent, taking their show on the road. For fans of Northeast Iowa, I'm sure people came from all over. But Caitlin Clark finishes with the double-double. But our player of the game is Gabby Marshall. Folks, she hadn't scored a point heading into this game. 0. She has 17 today, 5 of 10 shooting.
Just thought her ability to make those
चल के बा बंदे के
भोला स्वामी पिसन भमिया तोहार सिर्फ संडे के बुझो जी अब करे हमारे इंतजार पिसन संडे के सुन
सारी रात होके कितनो दिन तो ठंडे के
स्वामी पिसन भमिया तोहार सिर्फ संडे के अब करे हमारे इंतजार पिसन संडे के बुझो
आइल बाटे तो मंडे के
समय भमिया तोहार सिर्फ संडे के अब करे हमर इंतजार पिसन संडे के
ऋषभ रिकॉर्डिंग स्टूडियो सिमरा।